Hi, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If not, my name is Claudia and my middle name is Dora, and I recently started this channel Floridora to talk about all my plants, which I really like. And today, this is being filmed like 3 days after Halloween. I dressed up like Katara for Halloween with a couple of my vet school friends, and so I still have my little beaded braids in. And I like them, so they're staying until they fall out. So those are going to be looking like little antennas for like the whole video. They might get really annoying, so. Anyway, so today I'm going to be talking about all of the plants that I crossed off my wish list in 2020. And honestly, at the beginning of 2020, my love for plants was still moderate to intermediate, and now I would consider it severe. And so I didn't have a formal wish list at the beginning of 2020. That is going to be a video I'm going to be making for 2021 about my wish list plants for 2021. But I didn't have a formal wish list. I just would see these plants in people's videos or just like on Reddit or something and become obsessed and looking at pictures of them and learning about care. And then if I saw an opportunity to get it, I usually would. And so I've been able to collect some of them. Some of them I found at like large box stores or supermarkets, and they just happen to have these plants, which was really cool. Some I found at my favorite plant store, which is in another neighboring town. And then some I did purchase off of Etsy online, which is a really dangerous shop because it's so easy to order plants that you've been wanting for so long. So I have to hold back on Etsy, but I didn't. So I think in terms of organization, this video is not going to be very organized, but I'm going to try to go somewhat chronologically from plants I got towards the beginning of the year to plants I've gotten more recently. If you hear sizzling sounds in the back, it's because I am making ramen and a veggie dog. So. Okay, the lighting's not ideal anymore. So from the beginning of the year, I'm pretty sure this is one of the first kind of wish listy plants that I got this year. It's a Monstera Adansonii. It is the narrow form. I've heard people call this the narrow form or the normal form. I personally call this one the narrow form, and then the wider leaf variety I call wide form or round form, I guess. But this is called the Swiss cheese plant often because it has these fantastic holes in it. It is a vining and climbing plant, so I actually had it staked up previously. That's why this frond is so straight up. But yeah, I'm experimenting right now. I think I just made a moss pole to put in it, so I'll be adding that soon. Once it dries out, I might repot this guy and add a moss pole, or just redo it in this pot. This pot is probably still a good size for it. But yeah, it's a really awesome plant with these super fun holy leaves. On the note of that guy, I actually kind of recently ordered a normal or wide form variety. Again, don't know the name. You can't really tell it's the wide form on this leaf because it's kind of a narrow leaf, but sad story, got shipped to me and had root rot, so it was droopy, it was not doing right, the leaves were getting soggy and falling off, and so I chopped it all up and just trying to propagate the pieces. So here are some pieces from the vine. They do have some small roots, so hopefully I can get those growing a little bit more and try to grow the wider leaf variety of the Monstera Adansonii because I really like it. I actually like it better than the narrow form. So yeah, hopefully that works out. If not, we'll survive. So the next wish list plant that I got this year was an orchid. It's definitely not a rare orchid to any extent. It's the type you find in grocery stores in the gift section for like $4 or $5. Yeah, it's not a fancy orchid, but I'm becoming more interested in orchids. Definitely not prepared to take care of any rare orchids right now, but this is one of my two pretty basic varieties of orchids. I know it's not rare, but I do think it is really pretty. I love its big, thick leaves. And I know some people don't like it, keep it staked up, but this is really long, and so I wanted to give it that support. I also have it in orchid bark. It's just the orchid bark it came in. I checked and made sure there was no weird substrate trapping the roots in there. It's just the orchid bark. It has some beautiful aerial roots that are kind of starting to poke out. I honestly think when people have orchids that don't even have flowers on them, they just have those thick leaves and aerial roots, that those are amazing. So I'm glad this guy has flowers, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if the flowers died. Anyway, okay, another plant I got this year that was on my unofficial wish list was this Philodendron Birkin. These plants are super beautiful because the leaves come in with this stripy variegation, and to my knowledge sometimes it fades out, sometimes it doesn't. A couple of the leaves have some striations on them but aren't necessarily as stripy as this newest leaf, and then some leaves have less variegation and are more just this beautiful dark green color. I like it either way, but this was a really fun plant for me to get. I love philodendrons. I've been getting a little bit more interested in them, and yeah. Okay, so video's not as fun with the stripes, but it's a little clearer now. So the next plant that I added to my list was the Hoya abavada. I have been more interested in Hoyas recently, as I've talked about before. I think their leaves are super fun in that they're so thick and succulent like. I also like the tendrils they put out when they're making new growth. The Hoya abavada is a beautiful round thick leaved Hoya. This one has a little bit of silver splash on it. I still don't really understand Hoya naming, but I mean, it has silver spots, so to me it looks like it would be a silver splash, but correct me if I'm wrong. The seller that I bought this from off of Etsy actually sent me two. So this leaf got a little bent, but that's okay. I had only ordered one and she sent me two, so I can't complain. This one is a little bit longer. Again, just with these funny big leaves. So, you know, maybe in the future I'll pot those up together and we'll get a fuller pot of that. So that would be really fun. Okay, so the next little grouping of plants I added to my collection are a few of the string of blank plants. So before I've had string of pearls, the normal all green form, I've also had string of bananas, and in the past I've not been too successful with these. I find that I take it a little bit too much to heart when I hear you're supposed to let them dry out, because I love letting my plants dry out until they tell me they need watering. And I found that with string of bananas, they'll be maybe starting to wrinkle one day, so I'll be like, oh yeah, tomorrow's the day, I'll water them. The next day, totally crisped up, dry, dead, hate me, whatever. So that's super disheartening, but so I've definitely gone through a string of banana plants before. I also was super excited about string of pearls last Christmas break. I found a little pot of them back in Phoenix, and then before I brought it back to Washington with me, it fell off a little shelf and exploded into a million pieces. So I tried to propagate it and bring it back together, but it just didn't work out. So now I'm trying again. So let's see if I can, okay, well, this is this variegated string of pearls. I'll insert a picture of this maybe that shows it a little bit better. It's really pretty. I'm having a lot of success with this one. I think it's also easier to tell when it needs water just because it's in such a tiny little pot that there's not a lot of soil down here to stay wet and potentially cause root rot. So that's really great. Here is my string of hearts plant. This plant is really, really beautiful, and it's already been, oh my god, I'll put pictures of all of these. It's already been a really fast grower for me, which is really exciting just because I've never had this plant before. I know they're known to be very fast growing, but it still makes me happy that it's fast growing for me, even if it always does that. Look at those beautiful little hearts. I keep trying to show you it, but you're not going to see it. So this is my last string of blank plant right now. This is the Peperomia prostrata, or string of turtles. To me, they kind of look like little peace signs or little like Mercedes-Benz logos. Anyway, consumerism. Yeah, and so the next plant up is actually, I'm totally out of order now, and it's fine. Okay, it's fine. It's actually my newest addition, and this is a Philodendron micans. This plant is so beautiful and velvety, and the leaves come in kind of with this reddish orange tint and then get darker, and on the back of the leaves they're also that lovely maroon color. I hope to have like a really big basket of micans one day. I think it's super beautiful. Okay, next up we have probably the funniest guy in my new plants that I added from my wish list in 2020. This is a plant that I've liked since I was really little because it has a funny shape. So this is my Lithops plant. Oh my god, I'm spilling soil. They grow new growth out of the middle. They split and open up. I don't know how often that happens, and I honestly don't really care if that ever happens. I kind of just like its funny little shape now. Another exciting plant that I got this year that I've wanted for a long time is Cebu Blue, or Epipremnum pinnatum. I honestly have wanted this plant. I know it's really trendy right now, but I think it's really beautiful. It has these like blue long leaves. They're green, but they're like a bluish teal kind of color. I love how quick pothos grow. I think they're super rewarding plants. I love the look of long vines, bushy plants, and yeah, as a foliage girl, it's just super appealing to me. There's already a ton of new growth on this guy. I mean, that's basically all new growth in the middle there. Anyway, I love it. This is another plant that I've gotten this year that's kind of exciting. This was kind of a trendier plant this year. Didn't really think I'd get it. I haven't been good in the past taking care of like Stromanthy Triastar, Alocasias. Kind of a tricky type of plant for me just because I haven't been able to keep good humidity in the past. But this is the Stromanthy Triastar. You can see it just has the most beautiful coloring ever. The back of the leaves is this magenta purple color, and then the front has these white, green, and pinkish stripes. And it has a new leaf coming in, which was one of the reasons that I picked this one to get out of the selection. This was just at a building supply store in my town. They usually have a decent selection of plants, but it was kind of funny that they had this one. This is the biggest plant that I've added to my collection this year. This is my Philodendron Red Congo. So this is a new leaf. This is why he's so bendy. But this plant, I went to Safeway the other day for other reasons, and I saw this plant, and I couldn't believe it, and they were selling it for 20 bucks. It's massive. I love philodendron. I love the coloring. It's like this blue, crimson, and not blue, green, crimson, over a foot long leaves. I mean, look at this leaf compared to my face. It's not even in frame all the way. It's like twice the size of my face. Anyway, I'm such a fan. I buckled this guy in on the way home. Oh. Okay, and then, so this right here is my beautiful angel wing begonia. I am not sure of the proper name for this plant yet. I don't have many begonias. This is actually my only begonia I have currently. Again, this is another plant I was scared of the care for it, but now that I've worked on my humidity and kind of gotten a better idea of what the light levels are around my house, I think that I'm ready. So this guy I've had for a bit now, and he looks super healthy to me. He had one weird leaf. When he shipped, it got kind of crinkled down here, and I cut it off, and I think the crinkling is spreading, so that whole leaf might go, but the other leaves look really, really good. And I just love how kind of dorky and interestingly shaped this plant looks. Anyway, very exciting. I don't know if I could get into super rare or even have more than a couple begonia at a time and take care of them adequately, but that one I'm super excited about, and I think I'm doing an okay job so far. This is an Alocasia poly, or African mask. Alocasia, it has these crazy jewel shaped leaves, which is pretty much an Alocasia thing in general. So I got this guy. He was being sold for $4, and I've had one of these before. It just had a couple of leaves on it. I got it for $16 for 2 leaves smaller than this, and he did fine for a while, and then started crinkling up, and now that I know more about plants, I realized that he was definitely getting too much direct sunlight, and that's why he was crinkling up. But now I have him in a jar in water, and he's been liking it there a little bit. I think it's martyring its only leaf right now and putting out a new leaf. However, I saw this guy. It had probably like 7 leaves when I first saw him. Some of the leaves looked really, really rough, crinkled and mushy and flopping and yellow and just not good. So, and it was being sold for $4, so I was like, okay, I have to give this Alocasia a try and try to help it. And it was in this really, really wet, water retaining soil, and I touched one of the leaves that didn't look too good, and it totally just dissolved and was mush. So I was like, oh no, root rot or some sort of bacterial something is happening. And so I cut off all the rotten growth and cleaned off the roots and stuck it in water that I've dechlorinated, in hopes that maybe that root rot won't spread and I can give this guy another shot. I don't know if this is the best way to handle that in Alocasia, but it worked for my last Alocasia, so hopefully it will work for this guy. But is he not so beautiful? Also, duh, you had to know it was coming. The Rhaphidophora tetrasperma is one of my top wish list plants that I added to my collection this year. Thank you so much. That is all for this video. I'm going to be working on kind of compiling a list of my wish list plants for 2021. These aren't necessarily plants that I'm going to go out of my way to acquire, but they're plants that I'm really interested in, and if I come across them, I definitely would consider purchasing them. I have a few ideas, but I'm gonna make that another video so that I can talk that through. And then, but yeah, let me know if you got any of your 2020 wishlist plants this year, and let me know if you already have an idea of what your 2021 wishlist plants are. I got this idea from Plant Me Ashley. She's a YouTuber who I've recently started watching. I'm sure other YouTubers have done that video too, but that is where I saw it. So thank you, Plant Me Ashley. I like your videos. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much. My sing song. Good work, bruv. Good work. Also, another reason why I'm filming today is because it's election day and I'm a little bit anxious, so I thought I'd talk about my plants that I really love. Distraction is sometimes a healthy coping mechanism.